Okay, well, welcome again, everyone. We are starting our session for the MAC meeting 2020. Before we begin, I want to remind everyone that this presentation is being recorded, and as such, chats and Q&As will be monitored during the session. Be sure to utilize your gracious professionalism. So let's get started now that our presenters are ready, including myself. Without further ado, here's me. Lisa Hatch is here to help me out, make sure that I say the right things, and we will get started. Welcome everyone to the Virtual Mentor Advisory Council MAC meeting 2020 in this different year that we're going to have. We will talk about a few things in this session. Some of the things that we have going on here. We are going to have an overview on Georgia First. We'll talk a little bit about what COVID-19 is doing and affecting the program. Touch on some team basics, and then get into how we're supporting everyone on this endeavor. Note that specific items about First Lego League, First Tech Challenge, and First Robotics will be taken care of in subsequent MAC sessions following this one. If you have any questions that you want to ask, feel free to ask questions about anything that you want in the Q&A. We may answer some general questions here, but we will save a lot of the Q&A questions for later sessions and carry them over. So don't forget to join us for those to get more specific questions answered. All right. So we do have a handful of people that are supporting and running the program, our Georgia First key roles. Ms. Connie Haynes is our CEO of Georgia First. You can reach her at the email address chaynes@georgiafirst.org. Also, from a multi-program level is Terry Verheyen, our first senior mentor here in Georgia. She's at tverheyen@firstinspires.org. And she will be very happy to help you out in getting things started. If you have any questions from a general standpoint or a first standpoint, or if you wanted to come out and help arrange presentations at an event, if you're running any events, or if you need help finding someone to mentor your new rookie team, for instance. On the First Robotics competition level, we have Connie Haynes. She's our FRC program director, and our volunteer coordinator for robotics, for the First Robotics competition is Sarah Shannon. I'm going to give a pause every so often if you want to get a screenshot or write some information down, give you a chance to do that. Also in First Robotics competition, Lisa Hatch, who's joined me today, FRC team liaison, lhatch@gafirst.org. And our FRC kickoff coordinator and grits registration, Valerie Strain at vstrain@georgiafirst.org. From the First Tech Challenge program, we have myself, Stephen Hovey, the FTC program director, shovey@georgiafirst.org, and our volunteer coordinator is Teresa Bukovics, tbukovics@georgiafirst.org. And our FTC team liaison is John Quarles. You may know him from the Mount Perrin Christian Schools teams, Team 7373. They had the Inspire Award last year. He is our new team liaison and has joined the committee just this season. And he's also the person who's bringing out the newsletters for First Tech Challenge. Lori O'Neill and Joe Ray Van Vliet is our FTC Planning Committee co-chairs. And you can reach Lori at loneal@picanti.com. For First Lego League Challenge, it's Bob Kroshar, FLL Program Director and the Volunteer Coordinator. He is down at Seismic at Georgia Tech. You can reach him fll@seismic.georgiatech.edu. And last but not least, Georgia Clark, our FLL program director for Explore and Discover. And she's also the volunteer coordinator for the programs for our younger students. You can reach her at gclark@georgiafirst.org. All right, we have our 2019-2020 season statistics. This last season, First Robotics Competition serves 84 teams, over 2,700 students. First Tech Challenge had 188 teams for the season last year, the largest season they've had so far. First LEGO League, a whopping 643 teams. And First LEGO League Junior, which is now First Explore, 140 teams. Our volunteers last season, over 4,000 of them coming together and having 1 million hours of their time given so that these programs can work. And the demographics across all of the teams, 27% the women and girls, 36% minorities, and 61% of the students are involved with Title I schools. There were over 66 competitions, 8 of which are festivals and expos. Actually, are those separate from each other? I think 66 competitions plus 8 festivals and expos. Right, Lisa's shaking her head yes. And we had over 50 sponsors and partners helping us out, making sure these programs work. To keep in touch, we have a lot of outlets where we put information. We have the newsletters that come from First Robotics Competition, the Peach Press. Also, the newsletters for First Tech Challenge come out, as I mentioned earlier, from John Quarles. You can also find more information on our website at georgiafirst.org. Check us out on Facebook. Every program also has their own individual Facebook pages, so make sure to search for those. Twitter, Georgia First. LinkedIn, Georgia First Robotics. And Instagram, once again, Georgia First Robotics. And note that for most of these, Georgia is spelled out. All right. So let's go into what types of interruptions we have, what we're doing about interruptions, what type of response we're getting with COVID-19 this season. For guidance on COVID interruptions for First LEGO League, you could Google FLL guidance for COVID interruptions, and the link that's available, and links are a little hard to write down, so the Google search might help. However, you can write down the link to be more specific as to where you're trying to go. This here will provide some guidance for you, for your FLL teams. There's also another one for First Tech Challenge. Now, the trick about First Tech Challenge with a Google search is if you Google FTC, you'll get the government program.
Federal Trade Commission.
Yes, Federal Trade Commission guidance for COVID interruptions. So you have to go with First Tech Challenge and spell that out. Or you could use the link that's shown here and also get that document. For First Robotics Competition, keep checking the Infinite Recharge game page and read the First Tech Challenge and FLL guidelines for context on what might be coming out. But this information is going to be coming soon for First Robotics Competition. So what is Georgia First doing? Well, we're trying to be proactive in Georgia. And so the COVID-19 Response Committee was formed. Now, this response committee is comprised of a board of directors members, First LEGO League, First Tech Challenge, and First Robotics Competition program members, and some state and local officials who give guidance in the areas of education and health. Some of these areas include guidance on meetings, and as well as in-person event protocols, such as for FRC, what's going to be happening in the spring, or even First Tech Challenge, if we get into traditional or even in-person style competitions or events. To learn more about how each one is going to be working with their events, make sure to attend the program-specific MAC panel coming up after this one. So we are currently drafting up the coronavirus response plan. Uh, but as you are getting together on your own, make sure that as you make your plans with your students, follow the guidelines that the CDC is putting out, national level guidelines, check your state guidelines, what's happening in your locality, and even what your school is asking you to do. Usually the most stringent rules will apply when it comes to an official first event, and they may not be equal to, say, your schools. Like First, for instance, will be requiring masks at in-person events, whereas your school itself might not. So if you're going to a first official event, a mask will be required in that case. Collect input from your school, your team members, your organization, your parents. Determine yourself what your own comfort level is with meeting in person versus using a remote virtual platform. And also, once you figure out your comfort level, consider the tools that you will use and how you will engage with your team members and mentors for meetings and event participation. For instance, you could choose to use virtual meetings. You could have strategies and a timetable for sub-team meetings versus your full team, what days, time, and how long you would be doing your meetings. What is your meeting agenda? What type of homework would you have for your robot or any self-guided activities? What platforms will be accessible to most students? And realize that some platforms actually time out after a certain amount of time. And what are you going to do when it times out and you need to continue to meet? Also, how do you engage students that are not connected, that don't have internet access? What methods of communication can you use to get around those issues? If you do plan to have in-person meetings, follow your school guidelines, how many people are allowed. Split into sub-teams and maybe rotate meetings, days, times, locations, or just meet virtually. The shared equipment. How would you handle shared equipment? Safety glasses, tools, wiring, bricks, parts, all kinds of different things that you can think about. And what are your policies on sanitizing and keeping apart, the social distancing aspect? Okay. For events, now every event is going to have program-specific information during the individual breakout sessions. Right now, First Lego League is looking at remote events, as well as First Tech Challenge, for the most part, is looking at remote events. More details there. And First Robotics Competition is looking at mini in-person one-day events. I know that First Robotics was a multi-day. They're looking at one-day events. Learn more in the next session. And the Georgia First COVID response guidelines will be available to all the teams so that you know what to expect when going to these events. All right, I'm going to pause here a second. Are there any big general questions coming through that we can answer about anything we've talked about so far?
I think Kyle is going to be collecting all of the questions and splitting them out between all the different programs.
I am just
you would.
waiting to see.
Right. Sounds good. Sounds good.
Thank
Okay,
you, Kyle.
let's move on. Getting the team started. Here's some team basics. There's a handful of things that you can do to get your team started. A lot of questions you'll have to answer for yourself on what you'll need to be successful in having your team for rookie teams. And even if you're a veteran team, there's things to consider that you could do to improve maybe over last season or the season before that. to make the program better. We all learn from mistakes. We learn as we move forward. Things change. It only gets better. So here are some things that you can do. You want to know how to register. Who do you recruit? What do you want to fund? Where are you going to build? And make sure to plan for safety. So how to register for this season. All teams will need to register through the first dashboard. That's through the coaches' accounts on the first dashboard. Any prospective teams or rookie teams, you'll need to register with a new account. And if you're a veteran team, make sure to update your existing account. The information needs to be accurate so that contacts and to your team we can get through to you, and that the oh, there's a pop-up about in the chat. Is there? Are you receiving any questions at all, Kyle?
The only question that I actually did receive was, should we preface our questions by identifying our program? And yes, if you can, when you're going through and asking your question in our QA section, preface your question, identify your program. That will make it easier for me to go ahead and split it apart to the necessary parties, whether it be for FTC, FRC, or an admin question for Connie. So make sure, preface where your questions are going to, where they should go.
Okay.
Excellent point. So,
Good point.
Stephen, before you navigate away from the screen, if any teams have questions about how to register, you would reach out to the person that we talked about earlier in the session, get with them, and they can walk you through everything that you would need to know about registering a team. Things are a little bit odd this season, so we're here to help support you however we can.
I know when I get into the FTC program, I'll get into more detail on how that happens for First Tech Challenge. Okay. So registration, to register a team, there is no obligation to create or update your team. You don't have to pay any money to have the information created. You don't have to pay any money to update the information so that we can reach out and contact you better. The registration is complete once payment is received. Now, I know that there's a lot of grants out there that will pay the registration fee. And they also say that if you pay the registration fee for them, so I think it's in First Legal League, First Tech Challenge mostly, if you pay the registration fee yourself, that grant can no longer be applied and you lose the grant. So when you do register, if you are applying for, say, a rookie team grant in First Tech Challenge, as an example, you need to make sure that you don't pay that you wait for your grant to clear before you finish registration. So here we're showing the current, I believe the current prices for registration. For First LL Explorer, $99. For Challenge, $225. Tech Challenge is $275. It's been that way for years. First Robotics competition, the veterans price is still being worked out. It is $6,000 for rookies. Lisa, do you have anything you want to add to that?
We're hoping that the typical fee of $5,000 for veteran teams is going to be reduced, and we're waiting for confirmation from First Headquarters, Big First, on that amount. $6,000 for rookies will stay the same as it usually is because you will be getting a full kit of parts. Any changes, we will definitely let you know, and you can come to the FRC MAC meeting at 10:15 to learn more.
All right. As you are registering your team, remember that YPP screening for 2 coaches is required to have a team. So what is YPP? It's the Youth Protection Program. It's required for all adults who are working with students, whether it be coaches, mentors, or any other adults who are working with the students as part of the team. YPP protects the students, and it also protects the adults. By having 2 deep leadership inside of a program, it can protect the adults from claims that aren't accurate. You have witnesses in that respect. It also protects the students to make sure that any adult who may be nefarious is not alone in this case.
One thing for one thing for registration, you will not be able to register if you don't have your main coach and your second coach have to have YPP filled out. It takes a couple days to get the screening processed through. It's free. And again, you would just go to the link that's shown on the page, or your program director can help you find the place. But without 2 YPP approved coaches, you can't do anything. You are basically blocked from entering your students into the system or moving ahead with registration.
Yeah, if you're troubleshooting why you can't get something done in your dashboard, make sure that you and your second coach have completed the youth protection program. Also, part of YPP, you'll get some video training, and as we mentioned, the background check, which is absolutely free. So mentors will come into the program and they'll say, I don't know what to do. There are a number of guides out there that can be used. For example, for First Robotics Competition, there's the mentoring guide, and that can be found at this link, or you can search Google for FRC mentoring guide. In addition, First Tech Challenge has a couple manuals, the mentor manual for First Tech Challenge, or the FTC Coaches Playbook. That can be used as well. Full of information that mentors and coaches can learn from on what to do when you're getting started. For First Lego League, there's a list of, or a playlist of Coach Quick Tips that you can go to using this YouTube link, or you can go to YouTube itself and search for Coach Quick Tips playlist. It's a list of 23 videos, and there's a lot of information in there that these experienced folks can give that will help you in First Lego League. Every mentor and coach is going to be onboarded. Whenever a new mentor or coach joins your team, make sure to give them the mentor manual and start from square one to get up to speed. Treat their first day on the job as if it's day one of the season. Make sure that they get the information they need, learn everything there is about what your team does, go through the manuals, learn what they can about the program. Make sure that every coach and mentor is onboarded. They can't be accountable for something they don't know. So the next thing coming up is, who do you want to recruit? Your students. When do you recruit? Do you recruit in the fall? Do you recruit in the spring? Do you do them at both times? With COVID, how do you pivot, and how do you give value to new and veteran students? Where do you go, and how do you attract new talent? Recruiting during COVID restrictions, what are your questions? How are you solving this problem on your end? Talk about it in the Q&A. Give us a suggestion of what you're doing, and we can bring those up in our breakout sessions. For school-based teams, are you having a club night? Are you having an e-newsletter? For community teams, word of mouth. What are you doing on social media? When you're recruiting students, do you use an application? Why would you use an application? Why wouldn't you use an application? Do you accept all students? How do you decide which students become part of the team? What are your limitations? Do you have a lot of students who are interested and you just have too many to handle and you need to have a way to figure out which ones are the right ones for the team? Or do you have a small group of students to pull from that everybody could participate who comes in? When a student has been on a team, do you have an automatic invite to return? Do you have team tryouts? We want to hear from you. What are some of your ideas? And we will respond to those and discuss during our Q&As. For mentors, especially with these COVID-19 restrictions in place, where do you find the mentors? How do you find mentors that are technical? The local resources and societies, you could invite mentors, technical mentors to events, local businesses. I've also heard people reaching out to the VFW, for example, for some volunteers. How do you keep the mentors engaged? How do you keep the parents engaged? Do you want to keep the parents engaged? Sometimes parents are your best mentors based on their profession. Some of them have experiences that could contribute to the team dynamic. What do you do with NEMOs? NEMOs are non-engineering mentors. These are folks who might be able to help out with maybe a marketing side of things, or writing documents or proposals, for instance. The mentor manuals and FIRST. Those are places you can get some information as well. If you are looking for mentors for First LEGO League, you could consider your high school students or teams in First Tech Challenge and First Robotics competition programs to come in and mentor First LEGO League or first, any level in First LEGO League. We also want to hear your ideas on this, on what your mentor resources are and how you acquire them. And we'll once again respond and discuss during the Q&A. Now on to the topic of money. What to fund? What are you raising money for? In COVID-19, it has a profound effect on the budget. You need to reevaluate your budget needs. If you are in this for the first time, this budget may be different than your second year budget. If you've been in this before, you can see the changes already happening in your budget. Travel is reduced. What are your robot expenses? Are you needing more shipping costs? Are your meeting expenses increased because you're using an online platform, or have they decreased because you're using less space? What is the cost of added safety and sanitation needs? There are different types of budgets out there. You have a First Tech Challenge budget, FRC budgets, and First LEGO League budgets. How do you fund the team in general? Are you going to charge dues? How much are those dues going to be, if you even apply them? And what fundraising activities will you have for your team? In-kind donations is another thing that you can look for. It doesn't necessarily have to be money, but items. If you're looking for in-kind donations, make up a wish list of what things that you would need. And if you are soliciting a sponsor, say, we're looking for funds, these are the types of things that we need. This kind of reminds me of pickers. When they're going out and looking for antiques, they usually approach someone cold call at their door saying, hey, we're looking for old antiques. Here's a list of things, the types of things we're looking for. That helps them decide if that person has that stuff or not. You can do the same thing with your sponsors. Give them a wish list, things to think about, give them an idea of what it is you need.
And Stephen, that can be anything from robot parts to a 3D printer to pizza to, hey, we're meeting this day. Would you like to be our exclusive provider for lunches for our team? People are generally willing to step in and help, especially if the students are able to help with part of that request. It's really hard to say no to some of these kids. So use them to your best advantage. People want to help. This is a fantastic program. Your kids will help share that enthusiasm and help get more donations and in-kind donations through your door.
Absolutely. Further resources on funding, there's a FIRST fundraising toolkit you can find at the link shown on the screen, firstinspires.org Resource Library Fundraising Toolkit. Also, FIRST sponsorships and grants can be found in the 3 links that are here, FRC grants, FTC grants, FLL's team grants, FAC. They're all slightly different, so check them out for your particular program. You can also reach out about sponsorships and grants, or you may even hear about them in newsletter for sponsorships and grants. It could be the DoD, NASA, PTC, Arconis, LEGO Education, and a lot of times even local businesses will give a sponsorship. I know that on a national level, Robotics is giving something out. Go Build, they're both sponsors for the First Tech Challenge side of things. So check your program, look for other companies that might be out there that aren't even on this list. There's a lot of them. Got to put the robot together. Where are you going to do that? Do you have a school facility? And will you be able to access the school during COVID restrictions?
Mhm.
What are your personal restrictions in that case? A community build space. How do you find a community build space? How do you pay for that? Remember, safety is still paramount. Make sure the parents are comfortable, that the space is comfortable, that the students are comfortable. What tools are you going to need? What things are necessary to build a robot for First Tech Challenge and First Robotics competition? Not as many tools needed for First Lego League. The Legos tend to go together themselves. You might need a screwdriver or two for some building of fields or things, but for First Tech Challenge, First Robotics, it's hands-on. You'll need some basic tools as well as some tools that you need for your own specific needs. What other resources do you need to build safely? And what type of organizing do you want to do? Do you need toolboxes? Do you need wall racks? Do you need totes? How are you keeping everything organized so that it doesn't get lost? If you go to a competition, for instance, how do you transfer what you have in your build site to that competition and back? And then finally, let's plan for safety. When you travel to an event, you'll want to have a travel notebook. In that notebook, make sure you have communication or contact information in case of an emergency or you need to get a hold of a parent. Have a medical release form for every student. Copy of their insurance card or their insurance card information also in there. Allergies. What allergies does a student have, or what conditions might they have, such as diabetes or anything similar? Do you have an EpiPen for that student if they need one? What are other critical meds do you need to know about for them? In case of an emergency, you want to be able to act quickly, and this information will help. When you have your meeting place or you get to an event, figure out where the fire exits are. What are your meeting points in case of an emergency? Especially in a new place, you need to figure these things out. It's often overlooked. And if there is an emergency and you don't know where to go, that could be a big issue. When you have communication systems with your student, what do you do if that first line of communication goes down? Make sure to have some type of redundant system, whether it be email or telephone call, because I know today a lot of folks will chat in a chat room or go through text messages. Don't forget, we can also dial the number and give a phone call. And if you have any issues or see any issues at events, or you need anything regarding this, report to Georgia First, and don't be afraid to ask questions.
So one other thing in here, Stephen, is that in your build space, wherever it might be, if there's an emergency, do you know the address of your school? Will you be able to tell, or your build space, will you be able to tell emergency personnel, I'm at, 123 Main Street? Also have a plan for how will someone direct, if you're like in the middle of a school, how will emergency responders know where to hit you at the school? So make a plan to have like a breadcrumb trail, possibly of students who can direct people to where they need to go. Also, as part of that safety, something that teams do is that they have all of this travel information in a backpack. It's the nuclear football. So if anything happens, you grab this backpack with all of this information and you have everything right at your fingertips. One of the other things that's not really on here, but unfortunately, one of the emergencies that could come up would be a shooter incident. So there are definitely training things online that are not scary that you could show your students of how to deal with a situation like that. Keeping our kids safe, that's the ultimate responsibility. Building a robot is amazing and very important, but I want these kids safe while they do it.
Absolutely. Okay, so where to begin? Well, you're here now. Virtual symposium sessions. This is a great place to start. Visit the other sessions. Hopefully, if you have other sessions simultaneous with this one, you have somebody checking those out. Get some training on the tools. Have your students get some training on the tools. Maybe you have a checklist for your students that tells them, here are your goals. Have you trained on this tool? Are you certified on the drill press, for instance? Safety training included in that. Are they following the rules? For First Tech Challenge and First Robotics, are they wearing safety glasses around the robot build? That sometimes is a big issue at events where coaches do not enforce safety glasses, and when they get to an in-person event, volunteers are spending their time encouraging kids to put their safety glasses on. That can be a big issue at an event and could actually stop the event. Masks are also included in that safety training this season. How are they being used? Team collaboration. How do your teams collaborate? Find out that solution. What are your team building events? What are you going to do in a virtual setting? What will you do in person? And then what other training do you think you would need? You may not know now, but you'll learn as you go through the season, hey, our students could learn from that training on this particular product. You don't know what it is now, but in the future you'll find something that's really exciting, but you also want to make sure that everyone stays safe with it and they get the right training for it. Okay, this is about it. If there's any questions, we will have some Q&A sessions following. At 11:30, First Robotics Competition will have a session. First Tech Challenges Q&A is at 1:30, as well as First Lego League Challenge. And FLL Explore has their session today at 2:45.
And so I also believe, Stephen, that both FRC and FTC are going to have their separate their specific MAC breakouts in the next session, which is at 10:15.
That's correct. So if you are First Tech Challenge, go to the First Tech Challenge MAC. I'll talk to you some more in the specifics on that. And for First Robotics Competition, Lisa, I think you're taking that one over?
Myself and Miss Cotty.
Very good.
So before we go, I actually have some questions from the general audience for you guys. Very specific. So first off, a lot of people are wondering about YPP. Now, is YPP supposed to be done once, or is it supposed to be done every single year? And this is for both FRC and FTC.
I can take that one. So it's typically on a 3-year cycle. So you do it 1 year, and then first we'll let you know when that time is up. So it's not every year. You will need to look at your dashboard. If you look at the dashboard and there is a green circle, that means you're good to go. If there's a red box with like an X in it, that means, hey, I need to go do my YPP. And again, if you're ever on a crunch for meeting some kind of a deadline, know that this takes a couple days to get pushed through. So please don't wait. Just do it now and just get it done with.
And to add to that, if you do have student mentors are not adults. They don't need to have YPP screening. They won't even ask for it for a student mentor.
Correct.
All right. So another question, which it's actually a little bit more of a tip from Curtis Mathis. He wanted to say with recruiting, just a small tidbit, he said, our school has done a virtual club night. Each group makes a video and it's shared on the school website. We did the same for our normal open house where we did virtual tours of our school labs and answered FAQs. So I just wanted to mention that since that was for both FRC and FTC. Also, for the different classes, if you have Q&A questions that you guys have submitted in this class specifically, I am going to go ahead and forward those on to the relevant parties for FRC, FTC, and for both of the FLL programs.
All right.
All right, and if anyone else has any more questions that they want to throw in the Q&A before we go into our next part. Oh, there we go. We have another question from Dusty. If you have moved schools and are starting a new team, but you completed YPP previously, will you have to redo it?
In my experience, no. In my experience, no. And this kind of also flips to another question that Sherry asked. If you have a dashboard account from First, you are in dashboard. It will give you the opportunity to sign up and to create a new team, and you will just click, I think it's in the top left corner, start a new team, and you can start your new FRC team.
Yeah, YPP is tied directly to First. It isn't part of a school or anything in particular, so it follows the First account.
Correct.
All right. Let's see. Any more questions from our audience here before we go ahead and end this session? Oh, there we go. We have another. Wow, we have a lot of YPP questions. There we go. Regarding YPP, I am up for renewal. I went to the vendor site, and when I logged in, it asked me to select a new password as it was 4 years ago. I did the YPP, but I'm having problems logging in. Who do I contact?
Ooh. I believe
That's a really
there's a
good
link on that main page, and I'm not exactly sure. I can look it up.
There is a link, and then you can also call Big First, and they can definitely get you squared away.
Actually, I had the dashboard up during the call. Would you guys like me to go ahead and put in the? I'll put as a answer to the Q&A. Oh, never mind. You're doing a screen share. Perfect.
There we go. Yeah, I think the forgot password will get you where you need to go. For part of it, you can reset the password there.
I think they're talking about the YPP password.
Yeah, it might be inside there. Is there a separate password for that?
Yeah, so once you get into your dashboard, and I don't know that you're actually going to be able to get through the screener, Stephen, because your YPP is current. If it's not, then it will link you to this separate website. That's for YPP. Again, call Big First. I have them in my phone. Let me give you the phone number right here. Contacts. First, 1-800-871-8326.
And there is one other thing, and I only know this because I was having problems with YPP in terms of getting done with it. If you're having problems, so First actually does their screening process, the specific screening process, through a company called Sterling Volunteers. If you have having a problem logging in, they have two options. You can either email them at the advocates at sterlingvolunteers.com, or you can call them at 1-855-326-1860, option 1. If
Can you type that?
I will. I'm actually going to put it right into
the chat Q&A.
Into the chat. Yes.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
See, that's what I love about this collaboration, because no one person may have all the answers, but together we can solve all the problems.
Yes, we can.
And again, I see Miss Connie also in here typing. Like we said before, in order to register your team for the season, your 2 lead coaches have to have passed YPP. Oh, another kind of odd thing, consent and release forms. I can only speak to FRC. There are 2 consent and release forms. One is for First headquarters, for Big First. You'll accept that, and then you'll have to scroll lower, and then you will get the Georgia First consent and release form. So please check. That's the other thing. You can't register unless your consent and release forms are filled out. So go into dashboard, get through, try and click everything. If it doesn't work, again, call First headquarters, and they can walk you through the process of getting the different consent and release forms filled out. They're trying to go all digital, so that makes it much easier for you, as you know, if you're doing any of the admin work, not having to keep track of stacks of papers.
All right, let's see. Any more questions from the... Ooh, there we go. Any more questions from the audience before we go ahead and we take our break before our next sessions in terms of the MAC for the FRC programs, which will be with Miss Lisa Hatch and with Connie Haynes, and then with our FTC programs with Mr. Stephen Hovey. All right. I am not seeing anything pop up in the Q&A. All right. Thank you both for presenting. It was really excellent, very informative. I just want to let everyone know that has been in this presentation. If you're looking for your next session, majority of the people I'm guessing in here are going to be going to the next MAC sessions. You can actually go through the Georgia First Symposium page through the email you received from Eventbrite to receive the link to your next session. So to end this session, I want to go ahead again. Thank you, Stephen and Lisa, for the presentation, and thank you to our attendees. Enjoy your next session, guys.
And thank you, Kyle.
There's always the chance that someone will have a question. So
yeah, that's why I'm just
a
staying.
bit, yeah.
That's why I'm just staying, just in case. I've gotten a lot of compliments about your voice this morning. Very good, very good.
My morning voice?
Yeah, your morning voice. They're very, very excited about it. So.
Welcome to Georgia First Robotics Radio.
Oh, and that's high praise coming from Kyle.
Wow.
Yeah.
Listen, my voice is shot after like 4 hours, so yeah. I'm gonna be surprised today. Actually, I'm not surprised today.
I've had a comment about the R2D2. Have they seen the Zelda?
Wow.
There you go.
Wow.
Looks like you got some pro audio gear there too.
Yep, I got my focus right. I've got a nice microphone here. I've got my Chaotica eyeball. I'm all set to go.
I'm seeing podcast in your future.
I would agree.
That'd be fun.
I'm texting with Chen and Matthew, and we all agree that we feel like we have run a marathon so far. That initial 9 o'clock session was like, who's on? Who started? Who hasn't started? Who's going to jump on 2? Who's on 5? Where's our 5? You know, it was, yeah, y'all did great.
Wonderful.
We did find out that I had logged in first as a host, but then when Kyle was able to log in after me as a host, and then he took host privileges. So we were concerned that if a host dropped out or whatever, that everything would die. But it looks like multiple people can log in, and whoever gets in last is the host.
All right. Well, I think at this time we can probably stop the recording and get this thing ready for prime time. I guess it's a week turnaround to get the recordings up.
I believe so.
All right. Kyle, you going to stop the recording?
Will do. Thank you, everyone.
Check you later.